It is 6 o'clock on a Friday, and I am kid free for the weekend. And I thought that it would be a lot of fun to try a 48-hour reading challenge and vlog about it and see how it goes. I am going to play a few rounds of Yahtzee, and we'll do different prompts to help me pick the books that I'm going to read over the next 48 hours. Now, of course, I will be taking time to sleep, so I will not be staying up for 48 hours straight reading. But I am going to go from, right now, 6 p.m. Friday through 6 p.m. Sunday. So a full 48-hour period, and let's see how many books I can read in 48 hours. Okay, so really quickly, the way that I'm going to use Yahtzee for this 48-hour reading challenge is if I fill in any of these squares in the top section where it's like, just add up the total number of ones or the total number of twos. I am going to choose one of the books from my official July TBR. Sorry, the paper's moving. I've got the overhead fan going. But like I was saying, one of the official July TBR books that I picked when I played my July TBR game. And then if I fill in any of the bottom sections, so like 3 of a kind, 4 of a kind, Yahtzee, straights, full house, then I will spin a spinner wheel that is filled with different prompts, and then we will just go from there. All right, so for our first book of the challenge, okay, so right off the bat we have 3 5s. So we are definitely going to be spinning the prompt wheel. The second roll did not really get anything for me. And we've got a full house. 2 3s and 3 5s. So we will be spinning the wheel, and we will put 25 points down for the full house. So let's see what the wheel is going to pick for us. So for our first pick of the weekend, I did roll a full house. So that means I filled in one of the bottom section spaces, and so I am going to spin a wheel of prompts, and then we'll choose a book from there. So rest assured, because I really stink at making decisions, most of the things I'm either going to be using like a spinner wheel or drawing from a cup, because I don't like to make decisions. Okay, so I have 20 different prompts on. The ads always get in the way. Different prompts for different, things. Some of them are like challenges, like bingo board challenges that I'm participating in, or year-long reading challenges. But then like also some other things, like for example, a book that is shorter than your last book, things like that. So I am going to randomize a few times, and then we will spin. Okay, over 400 pages. Okay. So the wheel is choosing violence for the very first book in the 48 hours is to read a book over 400 pages. So let me look through some choices and I will come back to you with some choices. Okay, so I am back. I ended up not coming back with choices because I know the book that I am going to read first, and that is Rules for the Summer by Megan Quinn. Yeah, that's what it's called. Rules for the Summer. It says, he clicked yes on a dare. She bought a failing candy shop. They set the rules for the summer and broke every single one. And so this book is actually over 500 pages. I think it's somewhere around 550 pages, but Megan Quinn books tend to read fairly quickly. And I know that I'm going to have a good time with it. And so this is the first book. So it is basically 6 p.m. Friday, and so I will check back in with you when I have finished the book. It is just after 10 a.m. on Saturday, and I have finished my first book, Rules for the Summer by Megan Quinn. I had a really good time with this book, as I do with all of Megan Quinn's books. There were definitely some over-the-top, laugh-out-loud moments between the main characters and the side characters. I felt like the communication between our main couple was really good. However, there was still some miscommunication, but it was more so with the side characters. And I felt like it was at times unnecessary, making this 550-page book longer than it needed to be, which is why I am going to give this 4 stars. Now, in this book, we see our main female character, Renly, who grew up in a small coastal tourist town in Massachusetts, is given the opportunity to revitalize a candy shop, which she is set to do because she is determined to prove to the town that she is able to do this, because growing up with her father and with her Aunt Kitty, their family has been kind of looked down upon and taken kind of like as the town joke. And so she sees this opportunity as a way to like make a name for herself. On across the pond, as they say in the UK, we have our main male character, Theo, who is heir to his family's lordship. He is a spoiled trust fund baby who is kind of floundering in life. He feels like he does not have a purpose. And so one night, he and his best friend, Rupert, play a drunken game of truth or dare, where he is dared to set up a profile on a find a fiance website. And he ends up matching with Renly. Now, Renly thinks that she is matching with a financer. So already, like, the misunderstanding, like from the very get-go, are hilarious. And so he flies to her in Massachusetts. Once they realize like what happened, she's kind of she's the grumpy, he is the sunshine, and he is determined to win her over, and she is just like, leave me alone, I've got a job to do, and I don't trust you. And it was a funny, good time, a steamy, good time, and I'm really glad to have gotten the chance to read this book this summer. Okay, so we are set up for book number 2. Okay, so we have 2 twos, let's see, 2, 3, 4. I think let's try to see if we can get a small straight. So I need either a 1 or a 5. And got 2 6s. So let's try. I'm hoping that this is not going to come back to bite me. I I got a large straight, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's going to be another spinner wheel. Let's get this to focus. Come on. There we go. Okay, so we're going to put down 40 points for the large straight, and then we're going to hop back to that wheel to see what our next book is going to be. For book number 2, we rolled a large straight, so we are going back to the prompt wheel. I am going to shuffle a couple of times, and I did remove the over 400 page prompt since we got that last time. So let's spin and see. A free pick. Okay, so that means it is a high choice. That a free pick is a mood read. I get to pick whatever book I am in the mood for. So I am going to grab a few choices and make a decision. So I will be right back. Okay, I am back with 3 options. So first we have Into the Fading Twilight by Catherine Cowles. This one is the second book in the Starlight Grove series, romantic suspense. It just came out and I have been hearing so many good things about this book. But the problem is I do not have access to the audio book for this. It's an Audible exclusive and I currently do not have any credits. And having just read 550 pages without audio, I don't know if for the sake of this 48-hour challenge, I want to do another straight with my eyeballs book, but that is option number 1. Option number 2 is The Dead Romantics by Ashley Poston. I read her newest release, The Someday Garden, earlier this month and gave it 5 stars. And I've heard that this is another one of her hits. It is significantly shorter than the last book, as well as Into the Fading Twilight. And I do have audio for this. So that is option number 2. And option number 3 is One Golden Summer by Carly Fortune. This is the second book in the Barry's Bay series. This follows the Sam's brother Charlie. And I feel like this is going to be my most responsible choice because it is on my July, my official July TBR, so I need to get to it this month. And 2, I have the audio for it, and my Libby my Libby checkout is expiring in like 2 days, so I am going to lose the audio if I don't read it now. And so out of the 3, we have one that I really want to read, but I don't have audio. We have one where I have just given this author a 5-star just a few weeks ago. And then we have one that is on the July TBR, and the my checkout on the audio is about to expire. And so I think I am going to be responsible and go with the TBR pick, and knock this one out, so that I can return the audiobook for the next person. It is about 7:30 p.m. on Saturday night, so we have just passed the 24-hour mark, so halfway through the reading challenge, and I have just finished my second book, One Golden Summer by Carly Fortune. This is the sequel to the Barry's Bay book, oh, what is it called? Every Summer After, which follows the Florrick brothers, so Sam in the first book and Charlie, the older brother, in this book. And Charlie, we know from Every Summer After, is a playboy. He is not going to settle down. He is just, there for a good time. And in this story, we get to meet Alice, who spent one summer at the lake with her grandmother 16 years before the story takes place. And in this summer, she's 17 years old, and she is received a camera for her birthday and is discovering her love of photography. And in that, right before the end of the summer, she snaps a photo of 3 teenagers in a yellow boat speeding by on the lake, which is her most famous photograph that she titles One Golden Summer. And of course we know that those 3 teenagers were Charlie, Sam, and Percy. Flash forward 16 years later, and Alice is still doing photography, but she is not loving it the way that she used to. She feels like her life is in a rut when her beloved grandmother falls and breaks her hip, and she decides to spend the summer taking care of her grandmother. She sees her grandmother is also falling into a depression, and so she decides that the two of them are going to return to the lake for the summer to try to lift themselves out of this funk that they are both in. And when they arrive, she meets Charlie Florrick, who is taking care of the cabin that she and her grandmother are staying in. And they begin to form a friendship, and they decide that they are going to do a 17-year-old bucket list, do all of the things that they wish that they had done that summer, to help rediscover themselves. And of course feelings are developed. However, they try to keep a friendship because Charlie is convinced that he is not good for a relationship, and all the feels are there, and it has a really good, I enjoyed watching them grow over the course of this book. And towards the end, there are some things that happened that did make me get a little bit teary-eyed, but I'm not going to say what it was. But I did have a good time with this book and am going to give it 4 stars. Let's take a look at what the next book is that we're going to read. All right, rolling for book number 3. Okay, so we have 2 2s and 2 5s, but we have already gotten a full house, so that is not really going to help me. So I think I'm going to keep the 2 5s and see what we can do with that. Okay, so now we have 3 5s, so we've got 3 of a kind. So we will be going back to the spinner wheel for a prompt, which is exciting. Another full house, but we're going to go with 3 of a kind. So for 3 of a kind, we do add up the total of all of the dice, so that's 15, 16, 17 points. And we will be going to the spinner wheel to get a prompt. So let's take a look and see what we get. Since we got a 3 of a kind, we are going to go back to the spinner wheel for a prompt. So I have the wheel right here. I am going to shuffle a few times, and let's spin. Okay. Oh, less than 300 pages. Hide that choice. Okay, so we got a book over 400 pages for our first book, and so now I feel like the wheel is trying to apologize by giving me a mood read, and now a book that is less than 300 pages. So let me take a look at some of my shorter reads, and I am going to pull a few options. Okay, I am back with 3 choices for a book that is less than 300 pages. And I feel like this time I am coming with a good variety. So first we have That's Not My Name by Megan Lally. This is a young adult thriller. This would be a smart choice because it is another book on my July TBR, so I would be knocking out another TBR book, but I'm not sure. I've already read a thriller earlier this week, so I don't know if I want to read 2 thrillers. I don't read a whole lot of thrillers, so I feel like if I do 2 in 1 week, maybe that's too close together. And this one is just under 300 pages. It is, let's see, because it's got like a preview of another book. So it's 296 pages, so just under 300 pages. I have Same Time Next Summer by Annabelle Monahan. I'm not sure if that's how you say her last name. I have not read from this author before, but I have had her recommended to me by several of my friends. And so I picked up a few of her backlist titles from Pango because I was looking for another book, and this seller, had a couple of her books. This is 285 pages and is like a chick lit, I guess, or women's fiction title. I don't know if it's necessarily a romance, but I feel like I've already read 2 romances, with the one that I just finished, One Golden Summer, being more on the like fiction literature, whatever you want to call it, side. So I'm not sure if I want to do another one, and kind of, I don't know what I'm trying to say, but I'm not sure yet. And then the third one that I have is Eagle Minder by Lindsay Cummings. This is one of the novellas that is part of the Ravenminder series. So we have 2 novellas that are set from each of the prince's point of views in this story, because there is a love triangle, and so we get like a story told from each of the brothers. And I have not read either of the novellas, but I really did enjoy Ravenminder. And this one is under 200 pages. It's 195 pages. So I feel like I would be able to knock this one out. I have not done a fantasy at all in this reading challenge, and I actually think, even though, okay, so I definitely do not, I'm going to put this one to the side. This one, we're not going to go with this one just because I feel like I've already done 2, like I want to kind of mix it up a little bit. So I've got a thriller or a romantasy. And even though this one is on the TBR, I think I am going to go with Eagle Minder just because I really enjoyed Ravenminder, and it's been since February when I read it, and so I really want to kind of get back into this series. So this is going to be book number 3, Eagle Minder by Lindsay Cummings. It is just after 9 a.m. on Sunday morning, and I have just finished Eagle Minder by Lindsay Cummings, and I am going to give this 4 stars. I really enjoyed this novella as we kind of get to know Kinlear, one of the twin princes from Ravenminder. We do get to see it is like I would have to say that the first half of this book is like prequel, but you cannot read it without having read Ravenminder because it will definitely spoil the ending of Ravenminder. So just keep that in mind. I am really glad though that I did not pick this up right after reading Ravenminder because the second half we do get like his point of view on a lot of the events that leading up to the cliffhanger in the book. So I feel like it would have been a little bit too much of like repetitive if I had picked it up right after reading Ravenminder like I had wanted to do. But I really did enjoy, like, even though it was like a lot of repetitive, I did enjoy because it kind of made a lot of sense. Like it made the ending and the twist and the cliffhanger in Ravenminder, it kind of cleared up a lot of things and made a lot of sense. And so I am really glad to have read this one, and it makes me want to like immediately pick up the other novella called Fire Mage, which is the other prince's point of view. But I'm not going to do that. We are going to go back to Yahtzee and do another turn and see what we're going to read next. Okay, rolling for book number 4. 2 1s, 2 5s, and a 3. I feel like we are getting a lot of these same rolls. I think I'm going to keep the 2 5s though. All right, let's see. Okay, here is another 5. So we have 3 of a kind. So we will be going back to the spinner wheel. And, oh no. Okay, one of those dice knocked over. I feel like it might be this 6 got knocked, but I'm going to review and come right back. Okay, so I just rewatched that last roll, and it was this one that got knocked from a 5. So I'm going to put it back. We're going to actually move them up here so that it doesn't happen again, and we're going to re-roll these 2 one more time. Or no, I'm sorry, that was the 3rd roll. So we're going to put that 2 and the 3. Okay, so we'll put that back. So we have 3 of a kind. We have 3 of a kind, which, oh no, you guys are probably like shouting at me. I already did 3 of a kind. Okay, well then we can either put those 3 5s here in the 5 space for 15 points, or we could do the chance and do a total of all, so that would be 20 points. But I'm kind of wanting to, just for a change, I'm kind of wanting to go ahead and fill in the 5 space, just because that would make me have to read a July TBR book, and I just feel like we've been kind of focusing down here. I think I'm going to do that. I think we're going to do it. So that means that I will be forced to pick one of my July, and it's going to be completely out of my hands. Okay, so that was a little bit of a chaotic role, and I decided to fill in one of the top spaces since I'd forgotten I had done three of a kind on the last book. So I just went ahead and put those 3 5s in the 5 space. So that means that we are now going to pick a book that is still needing to be read from my official July TBR, which I have just 3 books left, and you'll have to please excuse this empty shelf here. I'm doing a little bit of a shelf reshuffle since you saw me putting together a new bookshelf. And so I'm a little bit all over the place. I'm really tired. Okay, so we have 3 books left in the on the official July TBR, and that is Promise Me Sunshine by Cara Bestone, That's Not My Name by Megan Lally, and then Beyond Those Gilded Walls by Jessica S. Taylor, I want to say is the author's name. So I have those 3 books left here. I'm going to shuffle, and let's see what we're going to get. We are getting That's Not My Name by Megan Lally. Okay, so that is that was one of the shorter books that I was thinking of picking on the last roll. So it's a short one. I do have audio for it, so I will be able to kind of finish shuffling my books around. And with the amount of time that we have left, I might actually be able to do one more roll. I probably won't be able to finish that last book, but I think we'll probably be able to pick one more after this one. So I will check back in with you when I am finished. It is 2 o'clock on Sunday, and I have just finished That's Not My Name by Megan Lally. I had a good time with this one. It was, I would have to say it was a little bit cheesy at times, and I kind of predicted the twist. I was still surprised with a few things, but I felt like pretty early on, like I understood what was going on as far as who Mary was and what was going on with Lola and everything, but I still had a good time. I am not quite sure what I want to rate this one. I am sitting somewhere around, I want to say like maybe a 3.5. So I don't know if I'm going to round it down to 3 stars or round it up to 4 stars. I'm going to have to sit on it, and I will, in editing, I will put up what I decided to go with for this. But we have about 4 more hours in this challenge, so I figure we can do another roll and see what I get. Whether I have enough time to finish, I probably will not, depending on, what we get, but I can at least, go all the way to 6 o'clock before wrapping up this vlog. Okay, so for our final round of the challenge, we have 1, 2, 2 4s and a 5. We're going to keep the 2 4s, and I am going to stick those up against the edge so that we don't have another oopsie like we did on the last round. A 1, 3, and a 6. I'm just going to re-roll those 3. We've got another 3 of a kind, which is not going to do anything for us. Okay, so we can either put those 3 4s up here and do another TBR pick, or I can put it in the chance spot, and that's going to be, let's see, 12. That's going to be for 17 points, and going back into that spinner wheel. And I think that's what I'm going to do this time, because that will give us more opportunities, I feel like. So we will go ahead and spin the prompt wheel again. Okay, so we are going to do one final spin of the prompt wheel. Let me shuffle. We still have quite a few options. So let's go ahead and see what prompt we're going to end up with. A Goodreads vet. Okay, so something that has been on my Goodreads TBR for a while, and I do have a few options that have been on Goodreads for, I want to say more than a couple of years, I want to say. Okay, so we have Goodreads veteran, so that means a book that has been on my Goodreads want to read list the longest. So I am going to screen record, and I will put it right here. Let's open up Goodreads and go to my books, want to read, and it's already sorted by date added, but we need to reverse it. Okay, so the top 3, which have been on the longest, 2 since 2022 and 1 since 2023. So we will just look at the top 2, since those 2 have June 8th, 2022 is the date that I added. So we have Along Came Amor by Alexis Daria, which is the 3rd book in the Primas of Power series. And then The Primal of Blood and Bone by Jennifer L. Armentrout, which is the 6th book in the Blood and Ash series, which funnily enough, I added both of these books on my TBR way back in 2022, but neither one of them came out, were published until just last year. So let me grab both of those books, and then we will decide which one I am going to start in this vlog. Okay, so I have grabbed both books, but I feel like when I show them to you, it is going to be quite obvious which book I am going to read. But we have Along Came Amor by Alexis Daria, and we have The Primal of Blood and Bone by Jennifer L. Armentrout. And can we please talk about this? This book is over 1,000 pages long, and I don't even understand why, because it's not even the final book. I know that initially when I put this book on my TBR back in 2022, this was supposed to be the final book in the Blood and Ash series. But no, it is not. There is going to be another one. So why does this book need to be 1,000 pages long or over 1,000 pages? I do not know, but I do not have the mental capacity to even start this book today. So we are going to put that one down, and we're going to pick back up this. Even this one, I feel, is probably longer than it needs to be for a contemporary romance. This one is 493 pages, so almost 500 pages. But I do enjoy Alexis Daria's writing. I enjoyed the first two books in this series. This is centers around three cousins and their romances. So I knew that after, reading the first two and enjoying them, I knew that I did want to read about the third cousin, and as you saw, it took a while for this book to come out. So I will be completing a series with this book, which is always something that I need to be doing anyways, and going back to an author whose writing I enjoy. So we will give this one a go. Is 6 o'clock on Sunday, and we have made it to the end of the 48 hours. So like I predicted, I was not able to get to the end of Along Came More, but I am on page 240, which is almost exactly 50%. So what I thought I would do is I will, when we look at like the wrap up and everything, I will, since I got to 50%, I will only count for half of the points for the total of all the books that were read this month. So Along Came a More, I am enjoying this one. I don't think that I like this one as much as I liked the first two books in the series, which is a little bit of a disappointment, because this was the one that I think I was looking forward to the most, since our female main character is a teacher like I am, and she is recently divorced, which I can also, relate to her in that aspect. But I am just not really feeling a connection between these two characters. On the night that her divorce is finalized, she meets our main character, Roman, in a hotel bar, and they decide to have a hookup, and they decide to continue to see each other with like a no strings attached situation. But Roman, he already has caught feelings for her. But our female Ava, she is, going through a lot and has like a lot of expectations that she places on herself in her role in her family. And so she's not quite ready to give in to her feelings or admit to her feelings. But they've just found out that they are the best man and maid of honor in her cousin's wedding, which is the couple from the first book. He is best friends with the male main character from that one. And they have just traveled to Puerto Rico, where the wedding is going to take place, because the bride and groom are not able to attend like the wedding planning thing, so they are there in their place to help with the wedding planning. And he kind of has like ulterior motive. He wants to kind of do like plan like romantic like events, or like what's the word I'm looking for? Attractions. Mm, Excursions. I don't know what I'm trying to say. Like, he wants to take her to a, like beachfront dinner, and like to see the bioluminescent jellyfish and things like that. He wants to do all of these things to try to help her like realize that she wants to be with him. And everything. But like I said, I'm not really fully invested in this relationship yet. But, it's not really much of a relationship right now. So maybe when I get to the end of the book later on, um, I'll have changed my mind. But, as far as a romance, it's doing its job, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. So let's take a look at the wrap up of what I read this weekend. Okay, so and I've got my my score card here to help me remember what we rolled and to help me with the the point total and everything. So first up, for book number 1, we got a full house, which is 25 points. And we read Rules for the Summer by Megan Quinn, because the prompt that we got was a book over 400 pages. And this chunky lady was 550 pages. So that definitely hit that prompt. Book number 2 was One Golden Summer by Carly Fortune. This was for 40 points because we got a large straight, and the prompt was a free pick. So it was any book that I wanted to read, and this is the one that I chose. Book number 3, Eagle Minder by Lindsay Cummings. This was for a 3 of a kind, for a total of 17 points. And the prompt was a book under 300 pages, and this one was just under 200 pages. Book number 4 was That's Not My Name by Megan Lally. This one was 15 points with 3 5s and a TBR pick. And then our last book was Along Came Amor by Alexis Daria. This is the chance. I filled in the chance spot. Originally I had 17 points put down, but like I said earlier, since I only got halfway through the book, I'm only going to take half the points. Half of 17 is 8.5, so I just rounded up to 9 points. And if I have done my math correctly, that gives us a total of 106 points for this weekend. And I plan to do kind of the same. What my plan is for my monthly TBR is, like, once I hit 500 points, I am going to reward myself with a trip to the bookstore and a, lunch out somewhere in town. And my plan is to keep this one separate from my monthly. So that way, I don't know if I'm going to do this every month or maybe every other month, or just whenever the mood strikes me. I don't know. But I hope that you enjoyed watching me read an incredible amount of books in 48 hours. And I meant to total up the page count, but I forgot to before I hit record. So I will put the total right here. But here is the stack for the weekend, and just remember, this one on top, it's only like half of the book. But I feel like for a 48-hour period, that is quite a lot of books. And I enjoyed all of them. 3. I think am deciding to go ahead and give this one a 3-star. And then the first 3 books that I read were all 4 stars, and as of right now, I'm thinking this might be 3 stars. But like I said, once once she starts realizing her feelings, I might, feel otherwise. But this, as of right now, halfway through, is probably going to be a 3-star read, which is fine with me, because for me a 3-star means that I liked it, but it just, you know, I liked the book, but it wasn't, you know, one that I would maybe recommend to other people when I'm asked for recommendations. Thank you so much for watching this video, and if you made it to the end, I would like to hear from you. What's the last book that you read, and what was your rating on it? And if you don't have anything to say, leave me an eagle emoji just to let me know that you are here. And I really appreciate you, and I hope to see you in a video soon.